Try that again. I hope we are live now and it's gonna work. I had a problem earlier with this video, so if anybody is online here, I just will wait a couple of seconds or so. Please can you tell me if you hear me and if you see me? That would be really, really helpful. I had earlier started recording a video and I have no idea what happened. I don't know if it was my connection or what it was. I actually need to delete it quickly. And suddenly it cut. And that threw off everything and made me, of course, late. So, welcome everybody. Sorry for that funny introduction. If you don't know me, you probably wonder who am I. But I'm Andrea Caprio and I try to improvise and it's not always working. So welcome to my Facebook Live this week where I want to share with you really good strategies, four great strategies for breakfast that you can try that help you to overcome overeating, right? That prevent you from overeating. So I'm going to share this with you just in a minute or so. But before doing so, I want to share something really great with you before. First of all, I have two big announcements to do. The first one is there is a great summit where I am speaker on this week. I'm going to speak about emotional eating and weight loss. So if you look out for it, it's gonna be here on my social media, so just check it out. And you can, it's a mindset movement summit, so you can join it. And I'm speaking there. There's still time. It's gonna happen in a couple of days. But the other big announcement I have is that I am actually organizing a summit, and I'm super excited. Because I have so many speakers that I put together to come and speak with me and share with me their experience around emotional eating and overcoming cravings and weight issues. Now, the summit, what is first of all a summit? So first of all, a summit is basically a get together between experts who share their wisdom with the bigger population, with the attendees, right? So it's a little bit when you go to an event on stage or so, or maybe to a fair or so. So my summit is called a Food Freedom Festival. What are you really craving? Working with my clients, I always see they are craving something specifically, and that's not always the food. So I'm exploring with my guests, the other speakers I've invited, and I have really amazing speakers. I mean, I cannot hint any names yet. I wish, because they're really amazing names. They're really some amazing experts who share their knowledge. So I have them confirmed already. I'm conducting the interviews with them, and you're going to have the summit happening between the 27th and the 29th of May. It's called Food Freedom Festival. What are you really craving? And that's where you're going to learn so much about overcoming your cravings, emotional eating, and your weight issues. Look out for more information, of course, on all my social media channels. You will get a lot, and also on my newsletters, which I hope you subscribe to. If not, please do so, because there I will share, of course, all the information, how to join. It's really going to be a fun event, an amazing event with lots of knowledge. You don't want to miss that, I can tell you that much. Right, but now I want to talk to you about the 4 low-carb breakfasts you can try to overcome your cravings and, of course, help you with overeating, right? Because very often what I see is many people are eating too many carbs, especially at their breakfast. And when we have a carb-rich diet in general, but specifically breakfast or early in the day, there are a lot of things that happen that induce basically more cravings during the day. Because basically what it does is when you have a very carb-rich breakfast, like with a lot of bread maybe, or even a lot of sweet things or so, is that we spike up our blood sugar. And when it goes up, we are all happy, but eventually when the blood sugar falls and tumbles down, that's when we start getting cravings, because the blood sugar is unstable and normally then comes in and there's a demand, and the brain understands, oh, I need more sugar, right? And that's usually when we then go for more carb-rich or sugar-rich foods to go get our blood sugar up, and then that leads basically a constant up and down and up and down. And that's, by the way, what is so dangerous, right? It can lead very easy to things like blood sugar imbalances, to high blood sugar, to low blood sugar, and can lead also to things like insulin resistance, and of course, as a result, often can lead to prediabetes or diabetes. And we want to avoid this or improve it if you are there. So very important there to decrease the amount of carbs you are eating if you have a very carb-rich meals in general, and especially the breakfast. The other thing for breakfast, by the way, is also super important. So not only leading to more cravings, and I will of course teach you what to do instead, but it's also really something about putting your energy down when you have a lot of carbs. Now, most carbs actually induce or make rather grow melatonin. And I don't know if you're aware of melatonin. Melatonin is your sleep hormone, right? And usually carb-rich food induces the sleep hormone to work more. So it is a better idea if you eat carbs to rather eat them in the evening. Not that I recommend to eat a lot. And by the way, I do not recommend to cut out carbs either completely. Carbs are important. The important part is to have healthy carbs, have whole foods, have the right foods for you. That's why I believe into personalized nutrition, and also make sure that you have enough fiber in there. Right, so now let's work on this morning routine, shall we? Who is ready? Now, first of all, maybe I would love to know what is your morning routine in terms of food? What is your breakfast in the morning? Do you eat breakfast, first of all? And what kind of breakfast are you eating? I would love to hear that in the comments. So if you're here, or even if you watch the replay, just type it in the comments so I can see maybe what you are actually eating in the mornings. And I will share, while you do that, I will share my morning routine I will share good morning routines, and I will tell you about my morning routine. Let's do it like this rather. I will definitely share that because I love sharing my morning routine always. Right, so first of all, as I say, really important to have a balanced food and not have too many carbohydrates in your breakfast especially. So what can we eat instead? So one thing that I really love eating, especially on the weekend, is eggs. Now, a lot of people are eating eggs, and usually, eggs are great. Be a little bit careful not to eat too many eggs. And of course, if you are sensitive to eggs, maybe you want to be mindful, of course. And then, of course, if you're vegetarian or vegan rather, you might look for other options, and I'm going to come up with some. Right, but eggs very often are eaten by people together with bread and together with bacon and some kind of other not so healthy things. So just be a little bit mindful of how you eat the eggs. You can have all kind of eggs, that's absolutely fine. You can maybe fry them in a little bit of vegetable or coconut oil rather, or even a little bit of clarified butter or so might be good. But you can poach them, you can cook them, you can do omelets with them, you can do scrambled eggs. There's so many ways of doing eggs. I love eggs, I must say. But as I said, I have them on the weekend usually. But the important part is always to add some vegetables to your eggs, because you want ideally to include the protein of the eggs plus some fiber and some healthy fats. And for example, if you cook them in coconut oil, that's a healthy fat. Of course, eggs have also healthy fats in the egg yolk. And then you have the vegetables to that are helping. So for example, you can have leafy vegetables like spinach is really great, broccoli, maybe have a tomato or so. They're really, whatever you like, but add some vegetable to it. Hi Ken, nice having you. So how do we know, Ken is asking a really great question I brought up here, I think. How do we know if we are sensitive to eggs? Ken, this is an amazing question. Usually when you feel somehow that food makes you feel a certain way, better or worse, that's where you know there is something related to food and you might have a sensitivity. The way I work with my clients is that I do an elimination diet over some while. Usually I would recommend 3 to 4 weeks, keeping out all the foods that are the usual trigger foods or personal trigger foods, things that you suspect might be triggering you to have some symptoms. And of course it depends on the symptoms, so you can take them out and really clean up your diet. I normally do that with a detox, so the body and the liver also can kind of reset itself, get rid of toxins, heal the gut as well, and then slowly after that time we reintroduce the different foods, but always one by one. And then ideally you kind of write the journal down what how you feel, and for a couple of days, let's say you reintroduce eggs and you feel maybe bloating, or so you're sensitive to eggs. I hope this makes sense. If not, feel free to ask me other questions. I love questions. Right, now that is number one. So of course, provided you have no intolerance to egg, this might be a great thing. Another thing is to have skilled baked eggs with spinach and yogurt. You can do that in the oven. That's really something that is really nice to prepare in advance. So you could have you mix it with yogurt, garlic, a pinch of salt in a bowl, and you can melt a little coconut oil and then prepare all this and then put it in the oven. So it becomes a little bit like here in Italy, we call it frittata. So you can do that, or you can add all kind of other vegetable in there. Really nice dish to do, and that is something you can, by the way, very well eat cold. Cut it in slices, or reheat it for another meal, or take it away with as well. Really amazing. We are a lot today talking about eggs, actually, because the next one is a low-carb pancake. So who doesn't like pancakes? Right, usually I hear a lot of people, or I see a lot of people eating pancakes, and I must say I like pancake too. But the problem is with pancakes is that usually there is too much carbs in the form of flour, and many people use in their pancakes also milk, which I usually don't recommend so much. I would rather replace that than with non-dairy milk, such as almond milk or so. But I have oh, by the way, I forgot to say, here in the link there is, here in the description there is a link that leads to my blog post. And in my blog post, you find all out about the recipes I'm sharing today, so you get all the details actually. So we have a lot around eggs and how to do them and how to do better options to really get a lot of protein in your breakfast, so you are able to have less cravings and less overeating by adding healthy things to it. So for the pancakes, what we are doing, we have some cream cheese, eggs, and then some sugar substitutes and a little bit of cinnamon. And that's really a nice way of doing non-carb rich pancakes, right? Now, what I say about sugar substitutes is something I just want to go into there. I really am quite strong, I have a strong feeling about using sugar, or rather not using sugar. Even sugar forms, sugar is just something very unhealthy, and I know that really out of my own experience. That's how I became a nutrition coach, by cutting out sugar and seeing the difference, right, and eating healthy. But that's really super important to use better forms of sugar. Now, I like sugar, right? Or I like, I should say, I like sweet things, right? I don't like the sugar in its form, but there are so many other options that you can use. I'm going to share them with you. Number one for me is stevia, right? Stevia is really a good substitute for sugar. Be careful with stevia, it's very powerful, so you need normally only tiny amounts, so be always careful, because otherwise it gets bitter and then it becomes really not nice. So you could replace the sugar with stevia. Other thing that I use a lot is coconut sugar. I really like coconut sugar, very good. It also doesn't spike up the glycemic index so much, and is good for your blood sugar in general. Xylitol is another option that you might want to use. However, don't use too much xylitol, otherwise you end up in the bathroom. And then some options that you can also use are monk fruit. You can use maybe some fruit, of course, to sweeten. For example, dates. Dried dates are really a great way, which I add normally when I bake or so. So there are a couple of options around. Allulose is also something a little bit more recent that people speak about that's quite healthy. So you can look into that one. Sugaring or adding sugar to your day-to-day. Obviously, don't overdo it. Try rather to reduce your sugar. Now, you're wondering if I'm speaking only about eggs, but I wanted really to speak a lot about protein today. And after all, protein is really eggs are really a good resource for protein. So the next one is a chia seed pudding. Now, chia seed pudding is really easy to make. You can literally prepare it in the evening before. So, for example, you can have a quarter cup of chia seeds, non-dairy milk like almond milk, and then maybe you can some of the sweetener options I mentioned. I ideally like to put some fruits over. For example, blueberries are really a great option, but you can prepare the chia seeds the evening before, or about 15 minutes before you eat them at least, and then they get ready, and you can have them as a breakfast or as a dessert, by the way, as well. Really good dessert. Love chia seed pudding. Another option is, and that's my go-to, is a smoothie in the morning, right? Now, in my smoothie, I always add protein powder to make sure I have enough protein, but I also add a lot of fiber in the form of spinach. Yes, you can't taste it. And I add some berries and banana or some other fruits or so. And then I usually have a little upgrade. So sometimes I do flax seeds or maca powder, and I use always some almond milk with my smoothie, or you can also use coconut milk or so. So these are a couple of other options. You can, by the way, also do a smoothie bowl, which is really healthy and yummy. And then I would also suggest maybe to look into a more salty salty breakfast. You could maybe opt a little bit more for having beans with your eggs, or having even a bean dish. My husband is a little bit more into that. He has like a bean stew or so for breakfast. Sometimes he adds an egg to make sure that he gets his protein through beans or lentils or chickpeas. That's another really, really good source of protein. Great. So now I would love to know from you if you have any questions, and maybe you want to share with me here what you're going to implement, what kind of breakfast you're going to implement, or if you need any more ideas for breakfast, just ask them. So while you do that, just a quick reminder again that I have 2 amazing events coming up. First of all, there is the Mindset and Movement Summit that is going on now. I'm going to speak on there. I'm one of the very amazing speakers there, and I have a great talk on overcoming emotional eating, of course. But I have a really in my own way, I have a really big event coming, because for the first time I'm organizing actually a summit which is called Food Freedom Festival. Of course, the title gives it away. Getting free from being overwhelmed by food, being free from your weight issues, from craving, emotional eating. And it's called What Are You Really Craving? Because basically I've invited a load of amazing speakers, experts in their fields, to speak about what are their experiences and their tips to help people overcome cravings and emotional eating and weight issues. So I have really some high caliber speakers there. I'm actually very, very happy. A couple of people I contacted, and I really dreamt and hoped they would say yes, and they have said yes. So you're going to really see amazing speakers here who are going to share their experience and a lot of tips of things you can implement at home to overcome your cravings and find out what you are really craving for, because that's what it's really all about. I really want to thank you for being here today. And I say goodbye for the moment. I see you next week with some more tips. And I thank you for being here and participating. Bye-bye.